Hey guys, this is Jenny Love with Jenny Love Journals. Welcome back to, or welcome to my channel. So today, well, as you guys know, in the last video, we talked about the Dr. Seuss journals that I have been working on. I have not done any more work on this since I made the video. I plan on doing some more work on that this weekend, and I will be uploading more videos next week as far as the Dr. Seuss journals series. So I didn't even really plan on making a video, but today I was making some things. So I had some leftover pieces of scrapbook paper that I had cut up because I was making some library pockets. As you can see, I made a ton of library pockets, and again I used scrapbook paper to make these library pockets, and I think they turned out so cute. There's so many of them. Like I went to town and I made so many of them, and I actually plan on making more because, as you can see, the majority are like greens, and there's a few pinks and whites and things like that. But I'm gonna make some more so that I have more of a variety. If you want to learn how to make these, I mean, they're super easy. A lot of you probably already know how to make them, but I made them in the way to where when I put the pocket on the front, it's not just flat so that it's going to be tight. I made it so that there's a lot of room and space in these pockets. And if you want to learn how to make these, let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to do a video on how I make my library pockets. So from making the library pockets, I had so many leftover scrap pieces of the scrapbook paper. And so I said to myself, what can I do with these? So as you can see, I made some little banners, but I also made them into little paper clips so that you can clip them on the top of your pages. And I made 4 of them, as you can see already. I used vintage book page and the leftover scrapbook paper. And I thought to myself, there might be some people out there that want to see how I personally make my banners, especially people who are just starting out in the junk journaling world, and you want to learn how to do, you know, different little things for your junk journals. So I'm going to make a few on camera. As you can see, I already have a lot of things prepped already. So I just have like these little cardstock pieces. This is cardstock, and I made these the width of the book page banners that I made. And again, these are from a vintage book, and I measured these out to be 1.5 inches wide and 3.25 inches long. And then I took some of the scrapbook paper, and I also made banners that are 1 inch wide and about 3 inches long. So a little smaller in width and length from the book page paper, but not much. And like I said, these I made the same width as the book page papers, and you'll see why here in a minute. And then these I actually kept reserved because we're going to punch holes, holes out of these, because you can see what I did here. I punched the hole out and I glued it to the top of this. And there's just so many different ones that I saved each one so that I can match them up to what we got going on here. I have a whole thing of paper clips here, and I left one book page without cutting it, just so I can show you how I cut it. Again, I cut it at 3.5 inches long and 3.25 inches long and 1.5 inches in width. So what I do to make this little banner portion at the bottom is I don't fold it in half. I just kind of drape it over like this so that the corners meet. And with the corners facing me, I just take my scissors and I start with the corner and I cut up on a diagonal. And it makes a little banner, as you can see. And I did that with my leftover scrapbook pieces and the book pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assemble a few so that you can see how I do it. Again, we have some paper clips so that we can paper clip the top. And I also have my distress ink because I like to ink around. Hopefully I'm in frame. You know what? I'm not. Let me move my camera up, whoop, just a little bit. I apologize that I wasn't completely in frame. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, so let me move these down just a little bit. You guys are probably like, Jenny, move it down. All right. Well, now it's a little too far down. There we go. I think the problem is that I'm zoomed in more than what I usually am, and I'm not used to it. I also have glue. I personally use Fabri-Tac for projects like this, especially when I'm using book pages because they're so thin. Fabri-Tac is not a water-based glue, so when you use it, it doesn't leave like the wrinkles and stuff like that in the paper, especially when you're using a thinner paper. It doesn't really matter for the scrapbook paper because it's more like cardstocky. You know, I know there's scrapbook paper out there that's thinner, but the stuff that I used is like thicker, so you know, a lot of times I would go with like the art glitter glue or the tacky glue, but since I'm using thin book pages, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Fabri-Tac so that there's no wrinkling or, you know, showing of the lines or tearing of the paper, you know, stuff like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one each. Let me just move these over here. So I'm going to take a book page that I had already cut into a banner and a piece of the scrapbook paper that I had already cut into a banner. Now, you don't have to use scrapbook paper. This is, like I said, this is just the leftovers that I have from the library pockets that I made yesterday, and so I'm just using them up to utilize them. You can use digitals if you want. You can use just book page. You can use anything you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and the first thing I'm going to do is just ink these up, because once we get them put together, it's going to be hard to ink. Well, not the edges of the book page, but the scrapbook paper, definitely. I'm just going to go ahead and ink the edges. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down. You can do it on the right side or the left side. It does not matter. You can even do it in the center if you want to, like that. Either way looks cute. I actually might do a variety of different ones, right, left, and center, but right now I'm gonna, for this one, I'm just gonna put it on the right hand side. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue. My glue bottle's getting low, it needs to be refilled. Just along the top here, not on the whole thing, just along the top, because it's gonna be a banner. So you want them to kind of hang a little bit. And then I'm just going to glue it to the top of the book page banner. Make sure that it's straight. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to find something that matches this. I have all kinds, because like I said, these are all just leftovers from the library pockets that I made. Now this is the same as that, so we don't want to use that. We want it to contrast. Maybe that. Or even that. You know what? I'm going to go with this one. Going to go with that. And I'm going to take my hole punch. I use a 1 inch, 2.54 centimeter hole punch. And I just punch it out. Ink it up. Because you want it to have a little bit of a 3D effect. So if you ink it up, you'll achieve that. And then we're going to put glue all over the back here. Not too much glue though, because you don't want it to seep, but all over the back of it. And then we're going to glue it at the top, right in the middle. I mean, you can glue it anywhere you want. You can glue it off to the other side if you want, or you can just glue it on this side just to cover this banner. It doesn't matter, however you like it, but this is how I'm doing it. How cute is that? Okay, so now what we're going to do to add the paper clip to the back, I'm actually going to ink one of these up, so you'll need one of these. Again, this is cardstock so that it's nice and durable. And you want the part that we inked showing, right? Like that. So you're going to take your paper clip, you're going to take the long side of your paper clip, and you're going to put it on the part that won't be showing, the part that's not inked, or the side that's not inked, I should say. Just like that. So that the side that is inked, where the shorter, we're going to put the shorter part of the paper clip, because that's the part that we're going to use to clip onto the page, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some glue all over the back of this. Yeah, I should have filled my glue bottle before I started this video, but oh well. It's okay. I'm going to flip this over gently because the book page, for in my case anyway, is old. And we're going to just glue it to the top. Being careful not to exceed the top of this so that you don't see you know, the back of that piece from that side. We're just going to press it down. Make sure you press in the middle. Press right over the whole thing so that the paper clip itself is nice and adhered as well. And once the glue dries, that paper clip will not move, obviously. And there we go. Cute. Cute, cute. Let me see. I'll grab this Dr. Seuss page here. So as you can see, that's the paper clip. And when you go to put it in your journal, you just paper clip it to the top of your page. Just like that. How cute is that? Like I said, I know that most of you probably have your own ways and techniques on how to make these. And you can even embellish this further if you want. You know, instead of putting a little circle here, you can put like some stickers, maybe some flower stickers or whatever you want, or you can just put the circle there and put some stickers in the middle. Especially if you're using just book page and you want to add a little bit of color, a little bit of flair, you can get your stickers out and embellish it even more. Isn't that adorable? All right, let's make another one. Put this up here with the other ones. All right, grab a book page. Grab a banner. Let's ink. Or banner. They're both banners. Book page, scrapbook paper. And like I said, these are being made out of the scraps that I had from making the library pockets. So I didn't have to throw them away. And that's me. I'm very frugal when it comes to you know, my scrap pieces. And I'm always trying to figure out what I can make with my scrap pieces. And I was racking my brain this morning going, what can I do with these? I'm going to put this one on the other side this time. And I said, oh, I haven't used banners in a long time. And then as I was making them, I said, I can totally turn these into paper clips too, because, you know, there's times where you can make banners and just glue them to the page. But in this case, you can paper clip them to the page, and you can put some ephemera. You can use this to paper clip a piece of ephemera to the top of a page. And I say the top of a page because they would look, I mean, you could paper clip them to the side of a page, but to me that would look a little funky. But all right, let's find a piece that would look nice for, I like that one, for our circle. And like I said, you don't have to do, you know, circles. You can do other things. You can even make little hearts. Again, stickers, fussy cuts, die cuts, whatever you prefer. And it will look super cute either way. And like I said before, this is my way of doing it. There's lots of different ways of doing it. This is kind of a basic way of doing it too, I guess. And, you know, this is, if there's any beginners out there, people who are just getting started with their junk journaling, and you want to know how to make, you know, cute little things. This is a cute little thing. Grab one of our cardstocks. I felt like there was two, but I guess not. Grab a paper clip. Turn it over from the side that you didn't ink. And put the long part of the paper clip on the side that is not inked. Okay. We're going to put glue all over the back of that. I know a lot of people are like, just lay your glue bottle on its side and you won't have to wait for the glue to come down. I do that a lot, but today for some reason it's gooping out when I do that, so you gotta love it when it does that. And then we're gonna glue it to the back top of our banner. And as you can see, these are super easy and super fast to make. So you can just mass make these, like you can put on a movie or your favorite TV show or podcast, audiobook, whatever it is that you prefer. I do all of them, actually, to be honest with you. When I was making the library pockets yesterday, I was watching the show John and Kate Plus 8. Who's familiar with that show? I love that show. I've been watching it for years, and sometimes I'll binge watch it like once a year. And I started watching it again. Fun fact, we know John Gosselin personally, so but I do like watching that show. And there we have it. Another banner made. So like I said, you can literally just sit here and just mass make these. I think the most time-consuming part of these is cutting them, right? Cutting the banners out, you know, cutting all down to size, cutting these parts out. Obviously, I didn't do all that on camera because that was a little bit of a time-consuming part. But once you get everything prepped, you know, like I did, then you just go to town and get it done. Get a bunch of them made. And they're perfect for when you need things, when you're making junk journals and you need little things. I think this time I'm going to put this in the center. Move it up just a little bit. Fabri-Tac tends to dry a little quick. So, you know, a lot of times I use my art glitter glue. I can't talk today. And that dries super fast. You know, for those of you who use that, you know that you don't play when it comes to art glitter glue because it dries so fast. So, like I said, because I'm using book page, I opted for the Fabri-Tac. Which one do I want to use? A lot of these are greens, like I said, because did I already use one of this? I don't think I did. A lot of the library pockets I made were like a green theme. So I will definitely be making you know, more with different colors, but again, using the scraps from my library pockets. And again, if you guys want to see how I make my library pockets, let me know, and I'll be happy to make a video on that too. There's another thing I want to show you guys that I made here in a second that I thought was cool. So some of you might remember a haul that I did. I'm going to put this one right in the center. And in one of the hauls that I did, there was some vintage ledger paper from the late 1800s, and it was so old that it was literally crumbling. Like, you guys remember seeing all the little crumbled pieces of paper that was all over my desk. Like, they were old. And I said, how am I, like, what am I going to do with these? Like, how am I going to work with these? Because they're so old and they're falling apart. Like, there's nothing I can do with these, but I don't want to throw them away, obviously. So what I did was I cut them up. Well, I didn't cut them up. I glued the ledger paper to vintage construction paper. Like the whole paper. Like I just glued it to the vintage construction paper. And then I cut them out into tags. And that was my way of saving the old ledger paper without it crumbling all over the place. These are the ones that were crumbling the most. Isn't that cool? So I made various size tags. Like right here, you can see where it was crumbling. And I even had to glue on a few more of the tiny pieces that had crumbled off. And then I just poked holes and put some eyelets in there so that when I go to put them in my journal, you know, at the time I can put some seam binding or some ribbon or baker's twine or whatever I choose to tie in, depending on what what journal I'm working on. You can see where it was crumbling right there too. And that was a way I was able to save my very old falling apart ledger paper while still being able, I should say, to utilize it. So I was very happy about that. Alrighty, back to this. So let's put a paper clip on. Again, long side where it's not inked. So yeah, if you find yourself obtaining old documents, book pages, ledger paper, you know, receipts, anything vintage that's falling apart, glue it to some cardstock. Don't even cut it up. Just glue the whole thing to some cardstock. Let it dry and then cut it up into tags or journaling cards or what have you. It's the best way to save it and make it more durable so that you can utilize it. And the best part about it is, like I said, when I did this, not only is this the ledger paper very vintage, but I put it on vintage. This isn't cardstock, it's actually construction paper, but it's very thick construction paper. So all of it is vintage, no matter which way you look at it, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to be making some vintage journals again. As you guys know, those are my favorite kind. And I do have some vintage journals still for sale in my Etsy shop. Very vintage. A lot of the material, the books themselves are from the 1940s, 1941, I believe. And a lot of the stuff that I used for ephemera, the pages, all of that date from the late 1800s all the way up to the 1970s. This piece of cardstock was just a little wider than the book page, so I'm just going to clip that and then I'm going to ink it. Super cute. All right, let's make one more on camera. So if you guys have not been to my Etsy shop, go ahead and head on over. I have several journals for sale. I'll switch colors here so that we're not just doing a green one. Hopefully everybody is having a nice day. Hopefully you're in the creative mood, making some beautiful works of art. If you are, let me know in the comments what you're making. I always love to hear about what you're making. And like I always say, I love to see what you're making. So like, if you want to take some pictures of what you're making and shoot me an email, my email is in my About section here on this channel. And you can shoot me an email and show me what you're making. Show me photos or little video clips. I would love that. It has been very rainy here in Southwest Florida. Very rainy, but it's okay. I don't mind the rain. You know, a lot of people think I'm crazy, especially considering the fact that I live in Florida. I'm going to use this. Because people are like, you know, didn't you move to Florida for the warmth and the sunshine? Yes, because when I lived in upstate New York, it was always freezing. And even in the summer, it's chilly up there. And, you know, but I am the type of person to where I take advantage of gloomy, rainy days, especially in my craft room. I turn on some jazz music, or again, I watch my TV shows or my audiobook, and I listen to the rain outside. It actually looks like it's about to rain now, even. And I love gloomy days. I don't know, they're cozy to me, if you will. Like, let me know if you are the same way. Some people think I'm crazy, because most people prefer the sunshine and the warmth. And don't get me wrong, I do too. I love the sunshine and the warmth. But if it happens to be a gloomy, rainy day, I use that as an opportunity to cozy up. A hot drink or beverage, something good on the TV, or again, audiobook. And I just indulge. Okay, make sure it's straight and even. Of course, it doesn't really matter if it's like off to the side a little bit, because you're going to clip it to your page, and you're going to make sure that when you clip it, it's going to look straight. But still, try to keep it as straight as possible, just to make it easier on you. It's amazing how easy these are to make. Like I said, I think the most tedious, time-consuming part is the cutting out of everything. Should press that down nice. I got glue hanging off of me here. My nail, I need to redo my nails actually, because the Fabri-Tac's taking off my nail polish. And that was yesterday, doing all of those library pockets. I've explained this before. If you do not put a clear top coat on your nail polish, the Fabri-Tac will take it off. Yes, it will. And I'm not the kind of person that goes and gets my nails done. I'm not a big fan of having long nails. They just always get in my way. And me personally, can think of better things to spend my money on, but I do my own nails. I do my own manicures. I paint my own nails. I did go to cosmetology school for 2 years, so I pretty much have that advantage as far as doing my own nails. But I always fail to put the clear coat on, and I suffer when I use the Fabri-Tac, and that's my fault. Not a good choice, but oh well. I don't mind. All right, so you guys get the idea. Right? You guys get the idea. We made these 4 on camera. How cute are those? And again, they're all paper clips, so you can just clip them to the top of your page. Let me just put them all on there. And they're easy to slide down in. I'm probably going out of frame when doing this, but oh, I ran out of space. There we go. Cute. You can even do this, like on your page, you can put a couple of them right across the top. How adorable is that? And then there's the paper clips. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it inspired you to make some of these. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you have any, ideas on other things that you can do with these, put them in the comments below, as far as embellishing and things like that. I'm sure that not only would I love to see what ideas you have, but I'm sure that whoever is watching this video and reading the comments would also love to see what other ideas, not just mine. Again, this is just my way of doing them. There's so many different ways of making these and embellishing these. And yeah, super fun. And I'm really low again. Here, let me bring this down. There we go. Yep, still a little low. All right, guys, I thank you so much for joining me and watching this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give it a big fat thumbs up and share this out to any family and friends who you think would enjoy it. And come back on, it'll be either Monday or Tuesday, which will be, let's see, today's the 13th, so either the 16th or the 17th of June, Monday or Tuesday, to do some more work in our Dr. Seuss journal. And again, I am making a few of these, but this is the one that I'm going to be concentrating on mostly on camera so that you guys can see how I also do this sort of thing. In the last video, I showed you how I made the cover. I explained to you how I made the cover and expanded the spine. And I showed you the signatures that I made, which are 2 signatures. And we'll get those sewn in, get some pockets and tags made and some other ephemera and get it fattened up and have some fun with it. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.